Well, 2023 was fun. Even though it feels like yesterday that the year started, it's now come to an end. And instead of talking about all the horrible or amazing things that's happened in the world this year, I'm instead pat myself on the back and look back at some of my favorite videos I made this year. Because a little vanity never hurts anyone, right? Speaking of things not hurting anyone, I actually really liked the beginning of Bane's Rome Season 2. There's a lot of interesting aspects to do with the lore and everything else with the series so far, but I think the reason I like it so much is because for the first time in a long time, it almost felt like I was playing Minecraft for the first time again. Like, I knew everything in the world was filled with add-ons and everything like that, and a lot of these things were never going to make it to the base game, but something about me just going on my own and just exploring this world and figuring things out on my own was just so much fun to me. That and I didn't have to deal with the spider hive yet. Why do you keep coming out here? Oh, I seriously swear if I find more spiders. That first episode of me just exploring on my own almost put me to the point of me wanting to start an add-on series on my own. We'll have to see where I stand with that as time goes on. And I'm sure there's several other different types of things I've still yet to explore or discover inside this realm. Speaking of discovering things, when Cherrywood was first introduced, I decided to see how hard it would be to find every single type of wood type. I've been doing a fair decent amount of these survival challenges, and this one was just really interesting just to see how tricky it could be in just a normal blank seed, which honestly took much longer than I thought, but still, the fact that I had that opportunity to learn and to have this weird challenge of trying to gather every single type of wood, I don't know, something about this challenge was just really fun for me. But alongside all these survival challenge videos, I also did a few experimental videos, say with learning how powerful bottles or enchanting actually were. In the video, I tried using multiple methods on getting as much XP as I physically can in the shortest space of time, using several different types of methods, say with several different types of dispenser arrays, and many other different types of things like that. Now, looking back at the video, I can see like multiple other methods I could take, but for the methods I did try, it was actually really interesting just to learn how quickly you could get a bunch of XP. And who knows, maybe in the future I'll have to do something with that knowledge. Speaking of the future, 1.20 was showing off brand new types of bamboo wood types and things like that, and to prepare for it, I decided to grind out 1 million pieces of bamboo inside of Triple S. And honestly, even though the video might not have shown it, but it was actually fairly easy. Like, when in putting it into context, say with like the shulker boxes I gathered the year before, gathering 1 million bamboo was actually fairly easy. It was just the methods I used, maybe it was just the mindset I was in, I don't know, but something about this was just really easy compared to what I thought it would. It still took a very long time, at least like 3 or 4 months. I still don't know what I'm gonna do with this bamboo. If you have any suggestions, leave them down below, but at least now I can officially say that I managed to grind out 1 million bamboo, mainly manually. Not sure how many people could say something like that. And I'm also not sure how many people could say they've made over 100 note block songs. I knew my 100th note block song was coming up, and something I've always wanted to try doing was combine as many songs as I physically can into one single song, and that's what I decided to do for this 100th note block song, combining literally as many songs as I've made in years past into one singular song. Like, listen to this. You can tell there's a handful of different types of songs inside this one single song. And while I didn't include every single song I've made before, and while some parts of it might be a little bit imperfect, I think generally speaking, this was probably the perfect type of video for me to make for my 100th note block song. And one of the songs used inside this 100th note block song was an epic version of Little Jack Hoarder. I'll be honest, I was a little late in checking out the new Puss in Boots movie, but by the time I did, I knew I wanted to do something with it, and so I decided to take the nursery rhyme from the big baddie of that movie and make it into an epic note block song. There are some note block songs I occasionally go back to myself, and this is actually one of them, and it just sounds so like clean and prestige and any other type of word you want to say it, because it really works for like the villain of Little Jack and just a note block song on its own. But something that wasn't quite so put together as well was My Old Spaceship from Chapter 2 Season 4 of Cosmic. After myself, Duba, and DJ managed to get weird coordinates, all three of us decided to head through the Nether, travel tens of thousands of blocks, to find my old Chapter 2 Season 4 spaceship completely in ruins. There's actually several things I like about this video. First off, doing the long travel distance. I've never done something like that in Cosmic pretty much ever, and so the fact that I had the opportunity to do that with friends was both really frustrating, but also pretty satisfying. And if you ask either Dewberry or DJ, they'll probably say something similar. Second off, my prized spaceship, the thing that got us from Chapter 2 Season 4 to Chapter 2 Season 5. It was honestly really heartbreaking just to see this entire thing completely destroyed. Like, I spent an entire season building up this thing, using it to get away from an entirely apocalyptic world, only to have it found in ruins. I have been wondering for a while what happened to it after we saw it last, but now that I do know, it is kind of tragic, but it is also satisfying to know how this ship actually came to its end. But while this might possibly be leading into another chapter of my story, the video overall was just really satisfying and really fun to put together. Something else that was fun to put together is seeing the culmination of everything that was happening in Chapter 2 Season 5. After I figured out how to use the collapse clock, I then went in search of nuke codes that Poe was having for nukes to destroy the entire server and everyone on it. Something I really like about this is just how brutal I was throughout the entire video. Despite it not being fully me, the fact that I went so hard and so like out there, or as far as I could, it was just such a big change as to what I normally am. Usually I'm very chill, I'm very laid back, but this time I was just out there to be literally as brutal as I physically could. Fortunately, things did work out in the end, mostly, but the conclusion overall of just seeing how this thing actually ended up in this chapter of my story was just, for me, it was really satisfying. I don't know how else to put it, but it was just really, really satisfying to see. Something that was even more satisfying to see was the episode before that, where I tried to learn how to use the collapse clock itself. Where I tried figuring out how to make these portals, where I tried figuring out how to make these rock builds. This entire episode was basically focusing on me trying to figure out how this collapse clock manages to work. And I think the reason I like this episode so much is pretty much all the effects I managed to do. The same can be said for the episode after that, but I feel like it really shines here with everything I managed to do in here. And while I feel like overall the episode after is just a little bit better, the effects of this episode overall, just level that one up just a little bit more, which honestly made it really difficult for me to choose which one I should put ahead over the other. So I guess maybe you could switch these around or keep them as is, but either way, I really like these last two episodes we managed to cover. But something that almost definitely topped these two episodes was the Halloween video I released this year. Most of my previous Halloween videos were based on physical horrors, but this one was more psychological in nature. Whereas every day keeps going on and on and on, the repetition keeps building up more and more and more, to the point of me just breaking, only to me be forced to have to continue doing this repetition. And I know there's a lot of videos that like reusing clips or something like that, say for, I don't know, a video that looks back at your favorite work, for example, just saying. But I feel like a video like this really benefits for something like that, because this entire video is based on repetition, pretty much, where there is no change at all, and where everything you see is just starting to blur together into one. And this video just has so many layers and so many different ways you can actually look at it, which is why I love this video. It just works so well for me. And there's going to be several videos in 2024 that's going to work so well for me too. And if things go according to plan, 2024 might have some of my best work you would have ever seen so far. But until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.